If it's 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, it's LinkedIn Live, Power of Empower. I'm so happy to have Christy back. Uh, uh, and as a special new guest who's never been on Our Empower, we've got Dean LaBay, who has got a fantastic story, great guy. I had a chance to talk to him. Christy just got back from an Asian opportunity, and so happy to have her back. So, in chat's on, we depend on chat to kind of direct our conversation. We're here for you, and everybody should be here for each other. Omar's here to start off the comments because what we want to do is direct our conversation to your thoughts and your comments. So with that, let me turn it quickly over to Christy. And what's going on, Christy? What do you think
Well,
about through?
I'm back after 2.5 weeks of being in Asia, three countries and 5 cities, and I'm still trying to get over my jet lag and now a cough. But it was amazing. I missed you guys, and I'm looking forward to this conversation because team is about collaboration and empowering each other. So and having Dean over here, I'm excited for him to now get his voice, his face, and be able to see people to see who that person is behind the potato.
Okay. Well, Dean, why don't you say hello to everybody and introduce everybody with a little bit of context on who you are, and a little bit about where you're at.
My name is Dean LaBay. I'm in a place called Longview, Texas, which is 120 miles east of Dallas, 60 miles west of Shreveport, Louisiana, and about 75 miles south of Texarkana. I'm 62 years old. I'll be 63 on Flag Day coming up. Basically, my story is I worked on my entire life. I was a smile and dial kind of salesman, and had a botched surgery almost 6 years ago that uh, left me basically paralyzed for about 2 years. And anyway, I'm because of these programs like this and other communities, I've gotten back on my feet, and I actually just got back from the National Restaurant Association show in Chicago, and it was all funded by another group on Clubhouse called Digital Hospitality. And I'm just glad to be here. I'm glad to share. I'm glad you invited me. I'm glad you got me on with Christy because I know she's a superstar. So I'm here to do whatever you want me to do, and just I'm here.
Well, it's good to have you here. Let me tell you, you're a beautiful spirit, and an inspiration for so many people that know you. And the better you know Dean, the better Dean is. So you'll see more and more. Let me just go right to the audience. Omar's here. Looking to have Omar back. Omar was here before with Rita. Thanks for coming here. Olu's here. Truly great to be here with y'all. Thanks for what y'all do. Blessings. Oh, Kelly. Kelly is the glue that keeps everything together. Good morning, y'all. Happy to see Christy back in action. We missed you. Hi, Dean and Don, too. Olu comes back. Okay. And Leslie's here. And I was just at Leslie's Think and Grow Rich. She does that an hour before this show at 8 a.m. to 8:45 Mountain Time, so 10, put it to 10 Eastern Time. So thanks so much to be here, Leslie. Um, so to Christy, Dean's story seems to be so commonplace these days about how people have risen from the ashes, like you like to say. What's your thoughts?
Well,
Commonplace
I
these
think
days
what's
about
happening
how
is people
people
are
have
understanding
risen
the
from
power
the
that
ashes,
people
like
have
you like to
themselves
say.
over being a victim. And unfortunately, we all have situations that happen to us, and we can either stay in that place or say, I'm going to rise, I'm going to learn from it, and I'm going to flourish. And that's what Dean does. I mean, Dean has done that. I mean, he could have just stayed where he could have been. And yet he's like, this is what I want to do. And I want to, and the word of the day is team. I want to surround myself with a team of people that support me and what I'm going through. Because the more you have a team that's going to support you, the more you're going to grow and be more of strength. Am I going right on that one, Dean?
Yeah, Dean. So what to Christy's point, what is the group and their support done for you? Dean,
Me?
yeah.
Okay. I'm
Yes.
still learning this, Don. Don, basically, my story, when I had a botched spinal surgery in 2017, and basically left me in a state where I couldn't move. I mean, I was stuck in a bed, and had no, somebody had to wipe my butt and had to feed me and take care of me. I pretty much thought that was the end of my days. They basically dropped me off the nursing home and said, "Listen, adios, have a good life." And it was scary. It was I doubted a lot. I was angry with God, and me and him had a lot of conversations, and they were mostly one-sided. And long story short, I had always had faith, but I had asked, I basically just had a conversation and said, "Listen, if this is what you want, if this is it, then I'll continue serving you the best way I know how." And it was as clear as I'm talking to you right now on this monitor. He just basically said, "No, I'm not through with you. I need you to stop for just a little bit." And how I got back on there, I've been on LinkedIn. I got back on LinkedIn a little over a year ago. And what happened was I ran across a guy named Sean Wolchef. He's got a program on Clubhouse called Digital Hospitality, and it's in the restaurant industry. That was my last employment, was in the restaurant industry, selling restaurant equipment, building restaurants and so on. Anyway, I went there, and this group encouraged me so much. Their saying is, "A rising tide lifts all ships," and they basically reached back and pulled me up and brought me to where I am today. And I am so grateful. In fact, the National Restaurant Association show was just last week, and a week before that, Sean called me on the phone. He said, "Listen, I know you've expressed, a desire to go." And I explained to him that I couldn't go. I'm on disability, and things are still tough at my house. And he said, "Well, don't worry about it." He said, "I'm going to start a GoMe fund." And said, would that be okay?" And he was very kind about it. And I said, "Sure." Well, within 2 hours, they raised enough money for me. They paid my entire way, my hotel, my ticket to the show, and I had an opportunity to go to the National Restaurant Association show, which, if you've never been, it's in Chicago. It's in Chicago every year, and it's at the McCormick Center, and it's unbelievable. But I could not have done this without that help. But what that did was that community got me on LinkedIn. And from there, it got me to, there's other communities I'm part of. I'm part of uh, 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 Whiskey Wednesday, which is they've changed it. It's Wednesday, WIN Day. And it's a community of people that's in the same industry I'm in the sales business. Then I ran across another lady named Jen Allen. She has a podcast, and I listen to her a lot. And I had a lot of time on my hands, so I didn't want to sit around feeling sorry for myself. So I started listening to different things. And there's a couple of things for sure that I do kind of religiously. One of them is I try to come here and get a little bit of hope every day. Every Wednesday and Friday, I go to Digital Hospitality, which is at 10 o'clock Texas time. And those are just some things I do, and that's where I get my strength from. So anyway, that's what I do.
Well, that's wonderful, and it's so nice of you to share that. And there's something to enjoy in other people's successes, and knowing that we're all here together, and no one knows where they're going to be tomorrow. So you could be up today and down tomorrow, or vice versa. But it's also always nice. Your best security is your team, and that's what the topic about today is choose your team wisely, because you don't want anybody getting left behind. You don't want someone, or to your point with the Fund Me opportunity, a little bit from a lot can do a lot for one person, especially if it's consistent. So it's really looking around you. And just like if you were an owner of a Super Bowl team, you'd look at the team and say, who's the players and who needs to go and who needs to come in. And, you keep optimizing your team by how you show up for your team. It's the givers that get, and the more you give, the more you'll get, because the more people will return to get more, so it's selfishly unselfish. But like you said, one of the takeaways is you had a lot of choices with your time. You had nothing but time, right? So you could do whatever you want, and you're not sacrificing much to do it. I mean, other people got a family, got work, got this, got that. They don't have that much time, so that's a luxury. And if you're part of something bigger than yourself, whatever that is, whether it's a team, whether it's whatever it is, it gets you out of yourself, and I think that's so important. People can only get the loop so many times, and it's just, geez, turn the channel or take a walk. So, Christy, what do you think about team and what we're talking about?
Well, what I've learned, because I was never, I was so independent. It was like I was always there for everybody else, but I didn't need anybody to help me. And I've always that's how I had been until, recently, and realizing that asking people to, like Dean, saying, hey, I want to go here. I can't do it on my own. And it's humbling because all of a sudden, all these people come out of the woodwork like, whoa, wait, I'm not used to these, people coming out and being part of my team. I'm used to doing it by myself. And once you embrace that you have a team, and there might be a silent team. You might not even realize the people that are behind the scenes helping you be successful. It makes you grow. It makes you say, I I thought I could do everything by myself. I don't need anybody, but we do need people. I mean, even not only professionally, but even personally. You always need people in your life. And I spent my whole life going, I don't need anybody. I got me. And, which went into the depression and, going back to the self doubt and understanding that, yeah, you do need somebody and you need to be able to transparently say, this is what I would like to do. You never know if you don't seek it out saying, I want to go to this conference or I wanted to, or like with Kelly, I need somebody to watch my dogs for 2.5 weeks. And it's going to cost me an arm and a leg if I put them into a kennel. Can you fly over from Arizona? Didn't even, that she's my team. She's just like, yeah, I'll be there. Excuse me with this cough. But, understanding of just putting it out there and saying, I want to grow. I want to become that phoenix, but I can't do it by myself anymore.
Yeah, I think that's so profound. And here's what I add to that is it's great to be able to be self-sufficient, right? Everybody should be self-sufficient, but that should be the backup plan to mutually sufficient. Right now, everybody needs something at some time from somebody, and maybe it's almost all the time. It's access they don't have. The benefits are there. The people who deserve them are there. It's who's going to connect those two with the people who have the ability to help and service to the people who need service. But again, that deserving has to come into play, right? Is people have to say, Dean's a great guy. He should get to that show. And it was your story and you that raised the money, right? If it wasn't you and your story, it probably nobody would have wanted to do it. You got to want people to do something for you because of who you show up as, and they determine if you're deserving. Most people decide if they are or not and don't change to get deserving. And then they regret that it's everybody else's issue. But before we go too deep, The best part of the show is the audience. So let me get right into it. We talked about Leslie being here. Great to have you. Leslie's actually going to be here tomorrow. Leslie's been a great contributor. Paul's here. Paul was at the show at Leslie's Think and Grow Rich. I saw him there today. It's nice for all of us to learn together in different places. Fine Friday from Ashif. Ashif's been here every day contributing. Great to see you. Trevor's saying hello to Dean. I can see Dean's getting into the swim of things here. Ambambola's here from Nigeria. I think we got a great contingent just because of Ambambola inviting people. Thank you so much. Ambambola says hello, Paul. The other thing is, think in the audience what team means to you. We'd love to see what your definition is, what your thoughts of how it can benefit others. Paul comes back with, my mentor always says, you won't ever out-earn your circle if you are at its time to level up. You know, the pot gets bigger for everybody when everybody contributes more and more to the pot. Morning from Susanna. So thank you so much. I'm looking to have Susanna on the show. She's a wonderful individual and a great story, an inspiration. Paul, long time no see. I know Paul does a show with Susanna, great show. Impossible equals I'm possible. I mean, these shows are getting around, and we can't forget the awesome journey with Christy and Kelly. You know, we all can help each other. There's so much opportunity. That's how we get stronger, not by being individualized. Choosing the right team makes the journey smoother. Dr. Joanne's coming back, I believe, on the 12th. Happy Friday, everyone. Sometimes we don't even realize we need others yet to do so, expand our network and ourselves. Why not? You know, it's better to have more choices and more people than wanting somebody or needing somebody and not having anybody. And it's not only who you know it, but it's who they know. And I think that's so key. Ambambola's be a guest on Hotness Unleashed. Great choice, Trevor. Trevor's got a great show. Check it out, you know, on Saturdays. A lot of people have met there. Ashif said, I used to be a full-time one-man army until I was truly alone. Today, I embrace and empower. Well, and that's the key. Look around you. Why would you ever want to be alone when there's people around you who want to help, who enjoy doing it? So many people think if they ask for something, it's an imposition. In some ways, it's a favor. You know, if your cup's overflowing and you don't even know what to do with it, why not see what your resources and what your support can do for others? And it makes life more livable and enjoyable. Okay, Tapas, I had a really good call with him. He's in India, great individual. I'd reach out to him. Trevor put his link in. Great to have you, Trevor. I support everybody, and I think everybody should, because everybody should have a chance to look at enough homes to see they're most comfortable, and some people live in all of them. Welcome to the community. We caught up. So Dean, what do you think about all these comments coming through? And everybody seems to be a big supporter of yours.
Well, it's very humbling. I kind of wanted to back up a little bit, and Don, and let everybody know something. When this, I had never missed a day of work in my entire career. I was a smile and dial salesman, and when I went to have this operation, they said it was a same day surgery, be out that day. Well, that didn't happen. They cut me right here, and what happened was my spine collapsed, and they put it back together with a couple of screws. Now, all this crap that happened, basically I felt sorry for myself, and I didn't want to get back on LinkedIn. I didn't want to tell people what happened because I didn't want them to feel sorry for me. You know, that's not what I wanted. And but what I do want to tell you is that anything is possible. I am a walking miracle. I swear to God, you can talk to the nursing home; they'll tell you that it's just unbelievable of what happened. And I walked this morning. I walked 3.5 miles. Doesn't sound like a big deal, but when you can't do anything, and I heard somebody and when the comments make some kind of thing, I lost everything. Now, when I say I lost everything, my business, everything. I lost it all. But today I'm the richest man on earth because the richness of friends that I've met in communities just like this. Um, you have no idea how much it impacts other people. And it just takes one person. It just takes that one person to say, "Hey, I know where you've been. I've seen what I know what it's like." And I don't know. I'm just grateful. I'm grateful to be here because I come here almost every day, and the reason I do is to find a little bit of hope. And if I can help one person, then I've done what God asked me to do. And God just wants me to be a, a servant. He wants me to be loyal to Him, and I am. And I was nervous about coming on here. I ain't gonna lie. I, I take diuretics, and that's enough to begin the problem. So anyway, I'm glad to be here. I just don't want anybody to ever give up and think that it's not possible because I'm living proof. I'm walking proof that anything is possible. And when I started back, I only had like 231 connections. I'm not about connections. I'm about the quality of the people that's in these connections. I'm about Anabola. Anabola comes every day. I mean, I love, I can't wait to see what she's going to post. Paul, he comes every day. Christine, um, Andrea, on Tuesday, I know where I'm going to be, and I'm going to watch Andrea because, she brings so much to my personal life. And I want to share that with other people so they can get the same thing that I've gotten. And I don't know, I'm rambling now. But anyway,
I think it's a remarkable, not only your story, but how you share it with being such a big winner relative to what you used to own and have that wasn't giving you what you have now, but all of what you went through, all the doubt, the pain, the suffering was meant in a way to be shared so other people can relate to it and identify with it. So it's not sympathy. You're the messenger, not the message. You just happen to experience what you're sharing in a way that people relate to. And your voice is just as important as anybody's because your story is your story and it's what you intend to do with it. Some people could take the same story and twist it in a way that everybody feels awful when they hear it, because are you going to be a victim or are you going to be a survivor? But here's the beauty, Dean, is once you rise above, it doesn't limit how far you can rise because almost everybody who comes on this show who really experienced incredible things, whatever they were, are so much more tempered and more grounded in gratitude and appreciation that now they feel they got to give it back because they don't even know how they got it. Right? And holding on to it is making sure it don't go anywhere. Versus, to me, it's like you're playing beach ball at the beach. The sooner you throw it to someone else, the more games people are going to play and the more they're going to get involved. And I think that's the thing. And you made another excellent point. If you pick up a little of anything, and in your case, maybe a little hope, that's all you got to do to pick up for that day, because there's another day tomorrow. If you go to a big deal once a year and you get all pumped up, within a week or two, you start getting deflated because there's no reinforcement. And then well, instead of being a buyer, you're a seller, right? Because now you're bringing stuff that work for you. And here's the other thing. Everything we're doing on LinkedIn Live is a brand new skill set that hardly anybody knows about, let alone knows how to do. When you can get your voice out there, that's so much better than the mob that's fighting it with comments and posts and likes and all that stuff. So anyways, let's turn it over to Christy after we cover some more of these. Where were we? Let's just start here with our chief and go down. Start pouring. Okay, Shanier, who's been coming here every day almost. Ambombola, congratulations. Kim, happy Friday, everyone. Thanks for being here. Uh, and Kim's here almost every day. It is really a tight group. This sounds like a great show. Congrats. Uh, everybody's rooting for everybody. Relationship capital equals financial capital. Crushing it, Dean. See? Pretty soon they'll make T-shirts just with your appearance. Paul, thank you. Sheaf serves the purpose. Ambombola, I appreciate you too, Dean. Glad to see you on the screen, sir. Everybody's been waiting for you. It's like the next Star Wars. Uh, hello, Kim. Okay, here's a comment. I believe I agree. Our team and community makes all the difference. Thanks for including me. Well, I think it just shows everybody feels welcome, honored, can afford to be vulnerable, and really gets good takeaways because you're asking. I think to Christy's point, unless you tell people where you are and what you need, they won't know.
Exactly.
Right? And if they know and they don't do anything, that's okay too, but at least you put it out there. And you know what? There's a saying, if you're looking, if you want advice, ask for money. If you want money, ask for advice. So by just putting it out there, if someone won't help you, they may find a way to give you something that will help you. And there's so many people on the show I see, hey, get hold of me after the show. I might know somebody. I know yesterday we were focused, I forget who it was, but it was a job situation. Lillian, maybe. Well, whoever it was. But anyways, we worked together. And Baz said, reach out to me. I might know somebody. I don't know how it worked out, but you never know. And Baz wouldn't have known this person well. Cameron's here. I don't believe I've seen you before. AK Moss, I've seen you the other day. Little late, but love what I'm hearing. And if we build one at a time, and really our call to action should be sharing more, promoting more of the people who share and promote with us. I think that's a great discipline to get in, and it'll come back to you. In the meantime, break it down into 30 seconds, 60 seconds. How long does it take to hit a button? Paul's point is it's important to point out that before anyone became a thriver, they had to learn how to become a survivor first. Social media just sees most people once they made it. Well, it's how they see you and when they see you and how often they see you, because you can only portray something you're not for so long. And people are looking for trust. They're looking for that as a primary reason to get a relationship going. Christy, what's your thoughts?
Well, one, I realized how to mute while I was having coughing attacks. I apologize for my coughing attacks. Blame it on that flight. No, for the fact that the whole thing about team goes back to communication, and Dean shared, and I think Cameron was his connection that helped him. But because of that sharing, you start bonding, you start having a friendship, you start being vulnerable to be able to say things and not feel like you're going to get judged. And when we can say, hey, I I hate the word survivor, and I know that Paul uses survivor, because for me, a survivor is that you've sort of just stopped growing. You've survived. Here, we're not. We keep on continue going, and we're gonna trip and fall again. But when we realize we have that team around us, we're more vulnerable to say, "Hey, I tripped and fall. I tripped and fell again." Um, and this is why I'm not asking anything from you, except maybe just to listen to me. Active listening is something a lot of people are slowly learning. A lot of people feel that especially with mental health issues and stuff like that, they feel that if you talk, they have to give you an answer. They have to fix it for you. That you're asking something for them. When you're an active listener and you're part of that person's team, you're just you're just there listening to them. And that's huge. When you know that somebody's just listening to you. You don't need them to fix it. down the line, they might just come back and say, hey, I remember you said this. And the more I thought about it, the more let's, make this, create this to make this better for you. It went back and I forget who it was. I apologize about the one Army team. I can relate to that. When you're that person that takes care of everything for yourself and everybody else, and then you don't feel that you don't want to be a burden to people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a sheep.
Yeah, I mean, but then you realize how I'm assuming I'm a burden to people when I haven't even asked them if I'm a burden to them. We're making assumptions of who people are in our lives. And it's just, we don't want other people to make assumptions to us. So it's just being open and, humble and vulnerable. I'm all about teams. I mean, I surround myself with people that I know that if I needed something, sometimes I don't even have to ask. They get it, and they'll show up without me even asking. And just like Dean, I mean, this group of people, they knew his passion was to go to that conference, and that's a huge conference in Chicago. Huge. It's like one of the largest. And they turned around and said, "Don't worry about it. We got you." And he didn't even ask.
Absolutely.
He didn't even ask. They just said, "We got you." And there's a lot of people out there that do that. I mean, what I do, I mean, with the jobs and everything like that, I just tell people, look, there's an hour of my time. We're going to have a conversation. I can help you, or I can't. You can listen to me. But I know that person, the job seekers, struggling, and for me to be able to turn around and get them outside of their box and understand seeing different things. I mean, when I got back, I had like 5 people that had gotten jobs, which makes me excited.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's still very hard out there. But for me, I'm their team. I am part of their team. I reach out to people that, just saying, hey, how are you doing? What can I do for you? Because I know how it feels of not allowing. My whole thing was I never allowed people to be part of my team.
Well, I think, some people, they want to be self-sufficient and they don't want to appear weak, or they think I can still figure this out on my own, and the fear is of themselves on how people are going to think about them, and what I understand is anytime two people to get together, they both learn something by them getting together. It doesn't matter who's giving, who's getting. Once that exchange takes place, they're together and everybody wants to know where you're at, what's going on. And if it's interesting, if it's worthwhile to them, they'll continue it, and it's really not reaching out, but how you reach out. You're a burden if you create a burden for yourself, right? If you go in with guns blasting, saying, I need this, I deserve this, you owe me this, right? People are going to say, well, it ain't going to happen. But you know, if you do it in a way that someone says, this guy, he's done everything he can, he's honest, I mean, how can you ask something from somebody who ain't got it, and then be surprised when they don't have it, versus what can we do? Because see, where people don't see the other side is when you help somebody out of a ditch, they got a chance to help you or someone else. You're putting them back on the road. You're not just taking care of them and leaving them, and now you test. It's no different in the stock market. You can buy 10 stocks and a couple are not going to work out. But the winners exceed the losers. And it's fun, to put something on somebody, to say, give this a try. I mean, like Christy offered a house, create a whole new experience for Kelly, being in Florida. Someone offered Dean a ticket. Well, not only did he go to the show, but now he's talking about the show. He's talking about the group. They're getting all this exposure forever. right? Every time Dean talks about it and shares his story and mentions the group, right, that investment continues to pay off. So if it's just a one-time exchange in the dark, you don't know the person, you're never going to see the person again. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be doing one-person exchanges in the dark. But if someone says, hey, they're worth it. And the other thing is, people are in business or have a purpose based on delivering what they say they're going to do, right? If someone's has an organization that says we're going to help 10 people a month go to a destination they can't afford, well, they got to have winners to make the thing work. So, Dean, you're starting to see a little bit more to what's going on LinkedIn by being here every day. What would your advice be to a person who's just coming for the first time or two?
What would my advice be? First of all, talking about teams, I grew up playing on teams, baseball teams, football teams. The big saying back then was you're only as strong as the weakest link. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Well, in my particular case, I felt like I was the weakest link and I had to get better. I can tell you this, and this is a fact. There are no mistakes in life. If you're right here on this broadcast at this particular time, this particular second and moment in life, you're exactly where you're supposed to be. You're here for a reason. As I go out throughout my day, I do what you have told me, Don, and what Christy and I can't the other one I can't think of her name
Kelly.
tells me. I learned to breathe, and when there's a circumstance that comes up, I take a deep breath. But there are no mistakes in life. My higher power, my God that I call, he's got my life planned out, and I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. And talking about this trip to Chicago, it took me 26 and a half hours to get there. Okay. Now I had setbacks, but every setback, it was a reason. It was a reason for me to tell my story, for me to tell how I was getting to Chicago. And, everybody I talked to was touched. And they said, you're on LinkedIn? I said, yeah. Are you on LinkedIn? They said, no. I said, well, once you get on there, here's my name. If you'll connect with me, I'll connect you to my network. And I got a pretty good network because of people just like you and Christy and Andrea and Bola, Suzanne, Paul. We're all good people. There are no weak links. And the thing is, we're a team. We all stand together because we're not out here trying to sell you the newest thing since sliced bread. We're trying to help each other and lift each other up. When you've got nothing, when you're at the bottom, there ain't but any way to do but go up. And I know what it's like to be at the bottom. And I promise you, the mountaintop's a lot better for me. And like I said earlier, financially, I ain't your guy, but rich wise, I'm as rich as anybody that walks this earth because I've got people that I know that I can pick up the phone and call, and I've met them through just like this, just on this particular program and others. And man, I wouldn't change my life for nothing. I hate what happened to me, and yeah, I felt angry for a long time. But if that had not happened, it wouldn't have got me to here to meet with you and to Christy. That all had to happen for me to get to here. And I don't know, man. God's good to me. Life's good. If if y'all read my obituary tomorrow, you don't have to worry. You can say, well, I died happy because I'm as happy right now as I've ever been in my entire life. So I'm good.
That's so wonderful. And I can tell you too, as your story continues, even when you don't know it, because I know how Kelly was such a big fan of your trip, and we were going back and forth. And I remember having a show where you showed up and said you weren't leaving that day or whatever. Remember? And everybody like, oh no, what happened? And let's talk afterwards. And so it's not just a team that's with you; it's a team that's for you. And there's a difference. You can be on a team; everybody's with each other, but the championship teams are the ones who are there for each other. Right? It's never the best, the smartest, the strongest. It's the group. and when you lock
Right.
arms and you decide, hey, again, that's saying, if you can't do it, could we do it? And if we can't do it, can we think about it for a while and come back together? And everything is possible with belief, with people coming together the right way, doing the right things, like you say. And you're right. What I see about everybody in this group, and it's international, worldwide, cuts across every kind of boundary or situation you can, is in their heart, they're good people. They're really good people. And anybody, and who sees somebody over and over again, it's like seeing them in your living room, and being there with them, and kind of feel sorry when the show's over, but being happy in a way, knowing it's going to be back. And I think you always want to leave people feeling like, I wish I had more than I wish they would have shut it down 10 minutes before. So I know, Christy, you got to run in a few minutes. So what's your thoughts, final words for team? And Dean was just, I'd have to say, it was exceptional today, wouldn't you?
Oh, absolutely. And I'm ecstatic for him. I mean, Dean and I talked a few months ago, and we haven't spoken because both of us have been so busy and traveling. But I'm just ecstatic for him because he sees that what he went through. Um, it's his story is going to touch so many people, and realize that what they're going through, they can get through. And that hope is a wonderful thing. But yeah, unfortunately, I got to pop off because I'm back to back with people, and it was great getting back here. I apologize for my talking, um, but that's the travel. So you guys all have a wonderful weekend. Dean, it was a pleasure seeing you again, and Don, as always. And you got my girl Kelly for the whole weekend.
Yes, Kelly's Saturday and Sunday, so we're loading up all the talent we got and trying to get as much out there as we can. But thank you so much. Glad to see you back safe and sound.
Yep.
And we'll see you next week, and check out the awesome journey with Kelly and Christy. So thank you very much. And I think you made it so easy, or easier, for Dean to be here today. So it was nice having a trio like this.
And now, Dean, you got the last 15 minutes.
Yeah, I might take
Totally.
off and
Thank
just
you so
leave you
much.
with the whole show.
Yeah, it's all yours, Dean. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.
Okay, thanks so much, Christy. Bye-bye. So Dean, everybody is thinking, let's run through some comments, and then I'll give you my next question. Tapas,
Absolutely.
and he says, just pronounce like food. Happy Friday, lovely people. Shamir, good evening. Trevor is hotness is a live list of every person called out on the show. Look at comments afterwards, take down the links. Welcome to the community, Ambambola. Ashif, start pouring. Shamir, I think Kim. Happy Friday. Let's shoot down to the bottom and work up because there's so many. Okay, Wendy's here. Wendy's a great gal. So nice to see you. Petra's here, or as she likes to be called, Ashley. Thank you so much. She's so generous with her sharing. So get to know Petra. Dr. Joanne Dean, despite how hard and even life-shattering the experience that we've been through are, there is something within it that can shift us. And that's a gift, even if at first disguised. Thank you for sharing. Ashif says, the higher powers plan is within the plan. You. Petra says, absolutely. Wendy comes back with, okay, Ambambola, and Olu and Wendy will be getting together. I got to hear a powerful song yesterday called Somebody by Rachel Druckenmiller, and her story deeply touched my soul. Petra says, yes, God is right on time. Ambambola, happy Friday. I'm always especially pleased to see you. Cameron's here, who is a relatively new person. Y'all, happiness gives me happiness. A purpose journey. by Ashif. Here's a new gentleman, Barshish. Hi, everyone. Here we go with Petra. You are certainly not late. Welcome. And I think here's one. I hope your day's going splendidly. I would love to connect with you. Okay. Well, now that we've pretty much covered all of these, everybody's wondering what about the potato?
The potato. Okay, interesting story. The potato. Back when I was raised in a town called Hooks, Texas, which is up close to Texarkana, and like 62, I'll be 63 next month. When I was growing up, I got four brothers, and of course my mom and dad. And the first sleepover I ever had with it was at my friend Jim's house, Jim Oliver. And anyway, his mother was making supper, and she had Salisbury steak, green beans, turnip greens, but no potatoes. Now, we grew up in a town where there wasn't but two facilities. There was an ammunition plant from World War II and an Army depot. So, this is during the Vietnam War. My dad was a machinist making bullets, and then there was a depot. So money was not a big thing that we had around our house, and there was five boys in our family. But up until that time in my life, and I must have been about, 7 or 9 years old, I had potatoes with almost every meal that I could remember. And when Miss Oliver made the meal, there wasn't any potatoes. I asked her, I said, Miss Oliver, I said, you ain't got no potatoes? And she said, well, no, I'll make you some potatoes if you want some. There was a light that went off. It was an aha moment, because up until that time in my life, I never had a meal that I didn't have potatoes. And then I figured out that not everybody has potatoes with every meal. And it made me curious. It made me always question things. That's why I put the potato at the end of my name. And Christy told me to move it from the front to the back because of the algorithm.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, I wanted to thank her for that, and I didn't get a chance. But anyway, that's what the potato is about. It's so I remain curious, because up until that point in my time, in my life, if you don't know, you don't know. And it's kind of like everything in life. There's so much stuff that we just don't know. Don, we're similar in age. If you had told me back when we were starting out that you'd be able to have what we're doing here right now, we would have called each other crazy. I was a smile and dial guy. I made my living on the telephone. I've sold everything, paper clips to carburetors, and but if you told me that I can pick up the phone and see you, I just wouldn't have never thought it. So that's what the potato is. It's basically, I put it there, and it's for me to make sure that I stay curious about everything that's going on, because everybody does have a story, Don. And it's important that the newest people that come on this platform tell their story, because that's the only way we learn. And like I said, in teamwork, I was always taught you're only as strong as the weakest link. I just don't think there's any weak links. I think we all grow and learn from each other, and that's why I talk about iPhone storytelling. And that's where, you can tell your story. It's got a camera. Just take it and put it on Instagram, put it on LinkedIn, whatever. But, everybody needs to tell their story, because everybody does have a story to carry the message. And that's what the potato's about.
That's wonderful. And, everything gets more meaning with more exploration, like anything else, right? The deeper you dig, the more there is to see, or see what you couldn't see if you didn't dig to see it. So when you're sharing stories, you're also sharing your story to yourself, but now you're doing it in front of people. You've always shared your own story to yourself. You've been a one person audience, to the movie you play. But when you share it to other people, you really get to feel a little different because of how they respond, right? If everybody sees your story and starts clapping, you're more proud of your story. You're less ashamed of something you might have been ashamed of or embarrassed by. But the past is the past, and I agree with Dean that there are no accidents. I don't believe in coincidence. I believe there's a reason for everything. You may not see it at the time. You may not appreciate it if you do see it at the time, but that's what you got in your favor is time. As I got
Right.
older, and as you get older, you do more subtraction than addition with family, right? And friends, is you realize some things are not meant to get over immediately. Some things are meant to take time, to take some thought, and to give yourself some room. So you don't want to double up, have a tragedy, and then make it even worse by then judging everything and putting labels on it. And it's natural, but how long do you want to stay down? Does
Right.
Is another day going to make a difference staying down, or a week? It'll probably make you stay down because habits tend to follow themselves. Good
Right.
habits continue to expand and bad habits go downhill. So let me reach out to the audience again. It gets, unbelievable the response. I made it. So happy to be here, Roxanne. Roxanne's just a lovely person. You should know her too. AK Moss says, as a newbie on LinkedIn, if it had not been for the hounds, Mike Ashbury and Raquel, I would not have found you. Thanks for sharing. All rivers flow to the ocean in time, right? So it doesn't matter where you start, and you don't ever have to stay anywhere. Nobody should be anybody's anything. Everybody should be everybody's everything, right? You should be free to come, go, be with whoever, listen to whatever. And if it's good, more shows are better. Because if it was a choice between watching some comedy and watching a show like this, I go to Paul's show, I go to Gretchen's, the flight attendant. Actually, Leslie is putting together a list of all the shows that she knows of, each day, so people can have a guide, right? Who's playing here and what's going on. It's no different going to Vegas and you say who's playing at the Wynn or who's playing at the Bellagio. Same thing. And even Dean made a point of, Christy, Kelly, Andrea, their personalities now, because they've shared their personality. They earned it. People see them for who they are. Petra says, I'm in San Antonio. Uh, that's a bigger town, I guess, than where Dean's from. I was able to get in, Cindy says. Uh, I understand potatoes were the French fry capital of the world via McCain Foods. That's what Roxanne says. Hi, everyone. Petra. Yes, you are one in a million, a diamond rarely found. See? Did you wake up, Dean, thinking you're one in a million? Welcome to Hour in Power, Olu says. Must be a friend. Kim says, Cindy, I'm so glad you made it. The lives and audio events have been challenging to access this week on LinkedIn. Yeah, I don't want to go into yesterday, but it was a learning experience. And if you either look at everything as either I'm earning or I'm learning, you're winning either way. And maybe you learn and you earn, which wouldn't be a bad combination. Uh, Dean, you remind me of my brother, except he doesn't have your lovely accent, Roxanne says. Well, now your voice is starting to make it on the charts. Every story is us, Rumi says. Ashif comes up with some of the great proverbs and sayings. Cindy said, I believe an update is needed to the app. After a while, the bugs take over, I think. Yeah, you probably should refresh or do something. What are the hounds? Well, that's a group that's, I've been on, and all the hounds have been here. Raquel's been here, Mike's here. Actually, Jody Lamb is coming in about a week or two. She's new from there. So, I got an open door. If you're speaking there, you can speak here. If you're speaking here, feel free to speak there. The more visibility, because we're so small relative to 900 million people who don't know this exists. We're here so far in advance, and this is the time to hone your skill sets, build your teams, because once this gets more and more penetration and people come over, people can find themselves with whole new brand skill set opportunities that can upload and onboard people and teach people how these shows work. Because the bottom line is to these shows, it's all about the community. It's not about the speaker. Without a community, without an audience, the speaker's talking to the mirror. So, Don, I'm curious for you, when you had massive company, did you have levels to your team? I found I have smaller inner circle friends. How did you navigate that? Well, I always found when I hired somebody, I already had a person doing 150% of what they were supposed to be doing. So when I added somebody, the work was there and the person doing it, because what I learned, because I was a turnaround manager for a while, I go into big companies and just slice and dice and get them down to a livable, sustainable side. Is you had so many people on top of people who they were not supervising, who weren't doing it as well as they could be doing it. When you cut 2 layers out, I went from 70 people to 33, didn't miss any business, and everybody was happier and more efficient because they weren't waiting on people. They weren't having to deal with turnover. I was always a big believer in working managers. No manager sitting in an office. They should be on the floor. They should be in a store. They should be in a warehouse. They should be in the field. And I think to what Dean has shared, is knowing what it took to do what I had to do 30, 40 years ago, compared to how easy it is, how inexpensive it is, and how international it is. I mean, when I had a store in Denver, I dealt with Denver. I couldn't sell somebody in Santa Fe or unless it was mail order. So, but now if you got an open market, and what that means is you got an open market for your story. People don't buy you, they buy your story, and they want you to continue to tell that story. And what's good for you is good for people like you. And here's the missing link, is get more active on LinkedIn every day.
Absolutely.
Just get a schedule. If people are upset, they're not moving fast enough, things aren't happening, things aren't replying. Well, if you've got time to think about it, you got time to do something about it. And the idea is pick something, pick 5 people, and just for a week, put down in your notebook, I'm going to be great at commenting on their posts. Ring their bell. They'll notify you when there's a post. Do that. Everybody, 20, 30 people here, when this is done, share it. Just hit the share button, say, thought you might be interested. 4 words, takes you 10 seconds. Why not share more of people's stuff? Why would someone want to share yours if you're not sharing theirs, right? Why is their comment more valuable to you than yours to them? And what it says is, hey, you're not true. I give you, you don't give back. I give you, you don't give back. Might be grateful, but words ain't actions. And it's not just one person, it's who you show up with, because you want to be not the weakest link, because I know when I was growing up and I was on teams, I'd never get chosen. And I'd get chosen, and right before it's time to bat, somebody would say, it's too close for you to be up there. And right. And after a while, I still want to play, but what would happen, I was so nervous that when the ball would come to me, I couldn't catch it. I was so afraid of missing it, I missed it. And it just continued that way. And actually what it lent itself to was individual sports, bowling, ping pong, tennis, things like that, where you didn't have to depend on others who you couldn't depend on. So there's a caveat to teams. It's who's on them, who's with you on them, and who do you want to be with? I mean, if you choose your home, right? If you choose your home, choose one that's comfortable, choose one that's welcoming. And I think that's the beauty of telling your story, is that's your key. And if that key don't turn the lock in the audience, you go for another lock. You don't try to conform to the audience, but once you tell your story, there ain't nothing to say. It's out there. If people like you, great. If they don't, well, tell me that and I'll move on. And that's the difference between being the weakest link and the strongest link, is doing more, better, faster than everybody else around you. Because we're not talking about anything that takes mobility or physical strength. We're just talking about attention and applying that attention to an action would bring value to the person you're hoping to get. So what are you waiting for Well, give that to somebody else, especially if it's just a thought. It's just, I read your stuff. I think it's great. You know, you can keep someone going for another day. Don't think everybody's 100%. Some people are on the edge every moment. They could tip. And maybe someone who has a kind word out of the blue that you didn't know was going to come makes you think, maybe I'll just wait another day. Maybe I'll just slow down for a bit, and that changes lives. And what other people fully don't appreciate is how valuable you are to so many people that aren't grateful for, aren't aware of. And if something bad happened to you, there'd be a lot of sadness, you know? And even if you don't do things for yourself, if you do things, that's even more reason to do it for others, right? If you don't care enough about yourself, then hey, you got some energy, help somebody, right? Don't let it go to waste. So with that said, let me just finish with this. Uh, Dean, it looks like you hit this like a fish to water today. Feel your story and share it the same. I mean, it's like night and day from when you first arrived on the show to really digging in and getting involved. People need to approach and understand that person. Misunderstanding is evil, but you have us. And to Dean's point, there are no mistakes. And tomorrow's tomorrow, right? Another day, another way, another chance. Don't carry the past into the future. You can't take the past forward. Why would you want to be like that? Check out the Hounds of Business. Great, Paul. Love that insight, Don. Cynthia says, Don, have you ever watched the movie The Office? The wonderful scene where the downside are talking to the lead who just doesn't care. And I think that's so important, Cindy. It's the caring is sharing. If people, there's a saying, if no one cares how much you know until they know how much you care, right? Because
Right.
if you don't care, why should they? Exactly. I have a podcaster that's combined Christy and just like that. You can give your testimony. Please get in touch. Get in touch is a key word. Why not? You'll know who you're dealing with. If you knock on someone's door, they don't answer it, you save yourself a door next time, right? And if they do, now you got an opportunity. Oh, Petra, thank you. I didn't stand on that just for that. I was known as a champion of change. Change is what makes life worth living. I had a nephew who had the most terrible disease and he suffered and he died in his 30s. And I would go up to him and I would say, Mark, why do you wake up tomorrow? I mean, in a nice way, what keeps you going? And he says, I just are curious what's going to happen in the world tomorrow. I just want to see what's going to happen, and then when you hear that and you say, what was I thinking? I didn't eat, the breakfast didn't turn out so well. Like my car's got a noise that I need to figure out. I mean, it is, people major in the minors, they step over dollars to pick up pennies, and until they see reality. And sometimes that's why people end up in situations because they were meant to see a different world, a different way. It was time for change. And now change came to them instead of from them,
Right.
But now you've got the ability to make your change, just like a chess game, right? You got to move, you got to counter move. You get a new board every time someone does a new play. And I guess if you can detach from yourself long enough to appreciate what you can do in the world, right? Not what the world can do for you. If you focus on what you have and what you can give, not what you don't have and how you may never get it, that's like taking a bad feeling and pounding it for a while, and you got to ask yourself, who's creating these rules here? Who's making these judgments? Who's adding these labels? Because once you can get down to being seen and heard as yourself in real time with real people, that's a huge advantage. I mean, like you mentioned, Dean, if you could get in front of 20 accounts at the same time and share something of real value over and over again, save you the trip, save them having to deal with people in their office and stuff like that, how much better is it? But how many people aren't using it? That's
Right.
and that's what I'm hoping. That's why I hope everybody gets their own show. You know why? because they'll know how much work it is. They'll know what they have to do, you know. And just like if someone says, I'm going to post 3 more times a day, well, good luck. That's great. You know, you want to do more. I think that's the ultimate when someone says, I want to do more because I want to be more, because I want to give more, right? And then all of a sudden it's like, I can't stop because, you know, I met people, and I don't want to go into detail. I was in some pretty significant circles, and people would ask people, well, how come you keep working? You got all this money, you got everything anybody could ever want, you'll never spend it. And you know what the person says? I would have quit long ago if that was me. But I got a foundation, I got a charity, I got people that need me and what I do. I can't let them down. It ain't me, right? If it was
Right.
like I need to buy another sailboat and this and that, yeah, well, you know, that's kind of frivolous. But, you know, there's joy to joy, you know, and when you see people happy for the first time in a long time, and not only that, they know they can keep getting happy because there's people who are making them happy, want them to be happy. And once you get it tight, it's not like you got to go overboard to keep it going, right? And
Right.
after the more you can feed people, the stronger you can make them, they're going to lift you one day, right?
Right.
Now, something to give you a ride. Go ahead.
Right. Well, that's what it's all about. I mean, it's like the thing about the potato, just what you're saying, you know, you're given because every time you give, it comes back to you, multiplies. And that's what the thing about the potato, I kind of skimmed over it, but it's an aha moment in my life. It's when I realized that not everybody's like me. Not everybody has potatoes every meal, you know, potato cakes, potato fries, French fries, you know, things, people do things different. And everybody on this that's in the comments, everyone has an aha moment. And it's important that you share your aha moment with everybody else because that makes you who you are and it brings you joy. You have a guest on your show every once in a while, Sarah Dawkins. She's
Mhm.
phenomenal. And she's phenomenal because she makes the difference between happiness and joy. And life's about joy. I mean, anyway, I'm so glad to be here. Thank you so much, Don.
Oh, no. And I knew, you know, I've done this show at least maybe long, about 300 days in a row, maybe a year in a row. I don't even remember anymore. But over time, you know what's real, what you can convey through this show to people. And that's really someone's sincerity, someone's intention, someone's experience, but more importantly, someone's vision of their future and what the future can be for others. Because someone will say, hey, and that's what they should say. Well, Dean can do it. I should be able to do it if the weakest link on the teams was able to figure this one out and get ahead. Maybe I'm a little bit, I got a little head start, but I mean, just to be funny. But I think that's what it is people got the key to the lock that they put themselves in the jail that they're in.
Right.
And for whatever reason, it could have been someone's fault, could have been your fault. It doesn't matter. You know, there's a saying, it is what it is. And then it's whatever you want to add to it for as long as you want to add to it. Right? If a
Absolutely.
glass breaks yesterday, it ain't going to get back to normal and it's over. Now you could say,
Right.
well, it was my grandmother's and it was worth so much, and this person was clumsy, and all of a sudden you get into this road of where are you going with this? Why are you harming
Right.
yourself? You know, versus hey, sorry, you know, sorry, that's it, it's over. And I think with life, it's like no matter how many missteps you make, some of the most successful people have gone, you know, Walt Disney went bankrupt 3 times before he got somebody to back him. And, you know, back then in 1900s, going bankrupt was the end of the world. It wasn't something you do frivolously. And
Right.
well, and the thing is about successful people who fail initially, they were the curious ones that wanted to keep going closer to edge and found out there was no more room and they fell off. But they kept getting back on. So the idea isn't how many times you lose, And how'd you lose? You got to say, without all that losing, I couldn't have got to the winning.
Right.
Right.
All that other bad stuff had to happen for me to get to the good stuff.
Yeah, and that's why some people, because I knew a lot of people in network marketing and that industry, and most people would say it's going to take me 7 rejections to get an approval, right? So the first rejection, you say, "Great, thank you so much. I'm 1/5 of the way there already," and now
Right.
well, hey, thank you for rejecting me because it's only going to take 1 more or 2 of you. I'm going to win. And if you keep doing that, and that one other example I said, a guy only had $2 left to his name, had nothing. And he decided to go into a grocery store and bought a big bag of pinto beans. And it wasn't to eat. And what he decided is every day he'd start with 20 pinto beans in the left pocket. And every time he made a presentation, he'd move one of the beans to the right pocket. And he wouldn't go home until he made 20 presentations, even if he was talking to the waitress in the coffee shop as his last one at 2 a.m. And those beans made him a millionaire because
Right.
20 times something every day, it's not just a frequency. Someone rejects you, you say, "What happened?" "Oh, did this wrong." "Okay, next presentation, I ain't going to say that. Or I'm going to add this." And pretty soon you're thanking everybody away on the way to teaching you what you shouldn't have been doing because that was your thinking.
Right.
Then until you did it, hey, this is reality. So anyways, we can go in for a long time. I love having Dean today. Thank you so much. There's so many more comments I'll never get to. And anyways, with that, Dean, it's been great having you. Last final words to the audience.
Don't let anybody steal your joy. Just go out there and make today your best day ever.
Well, thank you so much. Well, come back tomorrow. We got Leslie here and we got Kelly here. Great team. Talk to you later. Bye for now.